you all for sharing your Wednesday evening with us. We truly appreciate it. Person. So February 8th of 2014, I got together with some other ladies and created 10 Toes In so we can discuss our journey. So here we stand with a mentorship support group for our brothers, a sister support group for our sisters, a couple support group for our brothers and sisters, and an intimate relationships curriculum that we teach throughout the state of California in various men's prisons. So that's what 10 Toes In represents. And tonight, you guys are really going to be blessed by our panelists. But I want to now take this opportunity to introduce my partner from the East Coast, Miss Latasha Drax. And let me tell y'all something. LinkedIn is a great place to meet some folks, because this is where this sister reached out to me and was like, darling, we could do some things together. So I want y'all to know this was actually her idea, because I facilitate 4 meetings a month. So it's like, I was like, oh, wait, I don't know. But she was like, Darlene, we could do it. I said, okay, as long as we can do it on our anniversary date. So here we stand tonight before you guys. So I just want to thank my sister, Latasha, for being the driving force with this event. I appreciate you. And you can go ahead and let our guests know who you are and what you do over there in Virginia.
Thank you so much, Darlene, for that introduction. And likewise, just meeting Darlene, I think it was through a mutual, another reentry organization that was having an event in the state of Mississippi. So big up to Mississippi. And I saw Darlene, I saw what she was doing. I checked out her website. I was like, yo, she's doing it over there on the West Coast. And I always like to connect myself to positive people who are making a difference and really have the evidence to show, especially as it pertains to intimate relationships post-incarceration. And so Impact Beyond the Wall was started about 2009 when I was also married to someone who was incarcerated. I looked around and realized that there was nothing in where I was that really supported my situation, especially in the church. So I'm going to church on a regular basis. They have all these groups for singles and marrieds and this and that, but there was nothing that looked like a group for me and my situation. And so I started that process of building a support group for women who had an incarcerated loved one, the parents, anyone who was impacted by incarceration. And we started that process. And so for me, it's been a journey of making sure that churches really had a ministry or a service that dealt with the loved ones, opposed to just dealing with the person who was incarcerated, because the person comes home. And so as a family unit, we need to be prepared to receive them. We need to be in a space personally in which they're not coming back to the same situation in which they left. So it's really about building up the family, building relationships, strengthening families. And so for me, we just build coalitions with other groups, grassroots organizations who are really doing the work, not just getting a name for themselves, but really dealing with the hearts of people. And so on a monthly, we gather, I mentor women individually who have been impacted by incarceration with their loved one, their spouse, things that they may be going through, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And so I have mentoring groups with them, different sessions. We are small but mighty, and I'm ready to get to that status that Darlene is in, because this is the work that we need to do. So I'm just happy that everyone is here today, and we hope that it'll be a benefit to you.
Awesome. Did you have your housekeeping items, Latasha?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the girl keep me on my toes. Yeah, house cleaning, girl. Thank you. So I'm waiting for you. All right. So just a couple of housekeeping tips before we go on, everybody. We want to make sure that your mics are muted. Obviously, we can mute you, but it would be so much better if you mute the mics yourself and keep it muted. So then that way we'll be able to allow all that background noise, just respect for everyone in the room as they're speaking. Also, I'm looking at your names. Everybody looks like they have their names, and that's wonderful. But if you don't have your name, please make sure you change it, because when we want to call you, if you have a question, we want to be able to identify you properly and respectfully, okay? We will start with the roundtable discussion. All the panelists will be speaking. We'll have questions that Darlene and myself will be posing. So we want to keep your questions until the end, okay? Make sure you keep your questions until the end, and where you will have an opportunity, either put it in the chat. If you want to jump on the mic, you can do that as well, but keep those questions until after the panel does their thing with us. And then after that, my last thing is just be respectful, be kind, be compassionate in the way we engage with one another, because this is a safe space and we want to make sure that this is not the last of beginning conversations that we have in this regard. The other thing is engage in the chat. You know, if somebody says something that you resonate with, it's good, give them a bow, you know, encourage the speakers, encourage yourselves, encourage each other, and, you know, we're going to get it started.
Absolutely. Thank you, honey.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I'm so
Appreciate
excited. Okay. So here's the thing. This is all about networking, all about sharing resources. This is what we do with 10 Toes In. I'm sure this is how Latasha runs her groups as well. It's not just about our respective organizations. It's really about you meeting other people. For instance, if Gabby speaks and she touches you, or you vibe with what she's saying, chatter, say, hey, this is so-and-so, can we exchange information or whatever? Same thing with the other panelists, right? Our brothers are definitely open to that. We want you to be able to grow from this experience and be able maybe to meet some people that you can put into your circle, right? It's not just, like I said, about our organizations. It's about you guys reaching out and building and cultivating relationships with other people that you didn't know prior to this event. So what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to do warm introductions for our West Coast panelists, right? So the ladies first. So the first person that I have the privilege and honor of introducing is our sister, Gabby Ruiz, who is a part of our sister support group that meets in person, as well as our couple support group with her husband, Ray. And she is very proactive with 10 Toes In. She's a giver, and she is very transparent when she's speaking in these groups. So I'm going to let her tell you about herself and her relationship with her husband.
Thank you, Darlene. Good evening, everyone. As Darlene stated, I am part of the 10 Toes program. My name is Gabby. My husband and I have been together for going on 10 years. I've known him since I was 12 years old. He is formerly incarcerated. He served 28 years on a 15 to life sentence plus 10 years and was recently released last April. So he's coming up on his first year anniversary. He was released under SB 1437. And like I said, I've known him since I was 12. He was 13 years old. So we've known each other a whole lifetime. And it's been a roller coaster ride, but I'm happily married. I love that man. He's not going anywhere and I'm not going anywhere. From a personal perspective, I'm a mother of 3 adult children. One is my son, who is formerly incarcerated as well. He recently came home in June of last year. And my daughter, who's currently incarcerated as well. So I have a well-rounded experience in both the parent and spouse level. I'm a grandmother of 7 little ones, ranging from ages 13 to 2 years old. From a professional perspective, I'm a director of collections and litigation of a workers' compensation company, and I've been there over 10 years. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. So it's been an exciting profession and a role. And as Darlene said, this organization has been a blessing to my husband and to myself. Had it not been for this organization and helping us navigate through the waters of reentry, I don't think that we would have made it this far. As much as we love each other and have known each other all of our lives, these waters are extremely rocky and difficult. And unless you have guidance and navigation, sponsorship, friendships, and support, it's going to be very difficult. So having that inside perspective, we're hoping to provide that guidance to all of you and give you guys our perspectives and insight. And that's really our objective here, is to provide you guys with the tools and information so that you can go forth and have successful relationships and marriages. That's really it for me. Thank you guys all.
Thank you, honey. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so now I am going to introduce our brother, who I fondly call my associate director of 10 Toes In, because when I tell you he's a soldier for our 10 Toes In family, he constantly has our name out there with other organizations, and I'm so appreciative of him. So I'm going to go ahead, and he also sits on our board of directors as well. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Osbert Anwar. So, Mr. Osbert.
Thank you, Darlene. You know, first I'd like to thank Ms. Darlene and Ms. Latasha for inviting me this evening. I really got to say that, you know, Darlene is one of the reasons why I'm doing the work that I do. But before I get ahead of myself, let me just introduce myself. My name is Osbert Orr, and I am formerly incarcerated. I was a juvenile offender. I was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus about 40 odd years. And I ended up serving 25 years. I've been out about 4 years now. And, you know, like Darlene said about the brothers, the 80 and 90%, I am a part of both of those statistics, because one, I am not returning back into incarceration, and I am gainfully employed. You know, well, I know we're going to be talking about relationship issues and a lot of things that dealing with intimate partner issues, but I myself, I am no longer in a relationship. I was in one for over, I want to say 11 years. Most of it was while I was incarcerated. But as of right now, we are no longer together. I currently work for a nonprofit organization called Friends Outside. Our office specifically, we work with the reentry population. Though we are made up of multiple offices with different grants, my office specifically, we work with family reunification. So a lot of the issues that Darlene will be touching on tonight, I actually assist on some of that with some of the individuals that are getting out. But for the most part, individuals that have child support or DCFS issues, issues like that specifically, that's the individuals come to my office. So again, like I said, we are made up of multiple offices. We do several different things throughout, but the majority of it, we do work strictly with the reentry population to try to alleviate many of the barriers and obstacles that they face coming home. And again, being connected with 10 Toes In has allowed me to actually expand on some of the stuff that we're doing. And it's funny because, again, I did not plan on coming out to work in reentry. I originally was actually going in a different direction, but I sat at a seminar with Darlene, and let me just say that Darlene played a major part as to why now I am doing case management with Friends Outside. Because like Miss Latasha said that, you know, she got into it because she saw a need. And I myself started doing light navigation when I was in a transitional house. And something that I saw that a bigger need that we needed is having individuals that are working for organizations that actually have an understanding of what we're going through. Because there are a lot of issues that we do go through, and many individuals don't realize that they're going through these issues. And sometimes that creates a major disconnect with our relationships, personal, romantic, and a lot of this spills into a lot of issues that we have when we're talking about work, family, friends. And so one of the things that we try to highlight is the understanding that trauma is not just a military term. Many of us, for the amount of years that we've been incarcerated, are going through a lot of that stuff. And again, I'm thankful to be a part of the 10 Toes organization, because we'll be able to giving us the opportunity to touch on that and actually start a lot of the healing, because many of us do not want to bring a lot of that trauma back to those that we care about the most. And looking at everybody's faces, you guys actually can I guess you guys can agree, you guys don't want any more of that brought into your household as well. But again, like I say, I do appreciate the work that 10 Toes is doing, and I'm thankful to have met Darlene. And I remember I met her one time doing a seminar, and I've been following her ever since. When she said, die hard. Yes, you remember when I used to take that bus from downtown LA to Long Beach at 9:30 at night just to sit at a seminar.
Yes,
And let me
sir.
say, it actually taught me a lot. And it actually gave me a lot more understanding that I had, that I needed. And especially a lot of ladies that I met in the sisterhood, I really got to say, I appreciate a lot of the support that I know that you guys are giving to all of us. So in saying so, I thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight. And if there's anything I can do for anybody, please feel free to reach out to me as well.
Awesome. And see, that's why you're going to be the associate director, Mr. Osberg. You're trying to fight it, but you're going to be there. Okay. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. So now I'm going to go to my big brother, Mr. Ray Ford, who's joining us from Oxnard, California. This brother right here, I strive to be like him. Okay, you'll see why when he gives his intro. But he and his wife have been a part of 10 Toes In from the very beginning. They have supported us, they have taught us, and I just love you. Okay, I love all of my brothers and sisters. But Mr. Ray, I need you to talk, to our guests. Let them know what you got going on.
Okay, so I'm unmuted. Thank you, Darlene. That was an exceptional introduction. My name is Ray Ford. I was at one time sentenced to 25 years to life, and I served 31 years and 8 months. I paroled in 2012. And since then, my wife and I, we set up a company called First Phase Inc. And what First Phase Inc. does, it houses parolees coming from prison. So with this company, we have 7 transitional homes set up in LA and Oxnard. We have a contract with the state of California where we house parolees coming from prison. And some of these guys have been in prison for 20, 25, 30 years, and they're coming to us, and we're giving them housing. We're teaching them life skills. We're helping them with their job prep. We're getting them ready to transition back into society from prison after 20, 30 years to us. And just to see somebody make that transition and be successful, it's just a great feeling. It's a heartwarming feeling. That's why we do it, because we I was there. My wife used to come visit me, and she would sit in those visiting rooms, and we've gone from the visiting room to the living room now. And it's just a blessing to be able to connect with Darlene and 10 Toes In and go and speak at her seminars. And she's taken us into the prisons to speak at some of her classes, and it's just enriching. I love it. I love it. We set up another company. It's called the Second Chance Corp. And what the Second Chance Corp does, it opens up other types of businesses so that we can give the guys and girls that are living in our homes jobs. So the first one that we open up is a fish fry restaurant. And everybody that works there is formerly incarcerated. And we're the ones that struggle with finding employment. And so we just thought, me and 2 of my business partners, Johnny Smith and Dion Corsi, we just thought that, hey, if we can house these men and women coming from prison, then we can give them jobs too. So we just all put in a bunch of money, set up this company, and one of our goals now is to make sure that these brothers and sisters coming from prison have jobs. I've been married to my wife for 26 years, Bertha, and she is the love of my life. We just recently purchased a home, so we're homeowners now. And our whole life is dedicated to this cause. This is the the stream that I landed in, and I love it. I don't have no problem with it, and I'm gonna continue to do what I do as long as I'm able to do it. And because this population is not really, most of the time it's shunned upon, and organizations like 10 Toes In and First Phase and Second Chance, we're able to give these individuals opportunities so that they can, we can shine a better light on this situation. A lot of guys make mistakes when they're young. They come, they go in, they serve their time, they come out better for it. And they need that second chance. And who better to provide that type of service and that leadership and that guidance as somebody who's been there and done that. And so 31 years of incarceration, gives me the credentials is the word I'm searching for to provide these services. And we've been doing it since 2014, and we're successful at it. And we're going to keep on keeping on, and we're going to keep linking up with people like Darlene, and I see Latasha is in the game, and we're just going to see if we can pool our resources and make it happen. So that's my story. Did I miss something, Darlene?
No, you did awesome, Ray.
All right.
You represent well, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my sister from Virginia so she can introduce her esteemed guest.
Now, Darlene, I wanted to say, we keep saying from Virginia now.
Okay, she's from New York, but she lives in Virginia.
Right.
Okay, I got you.
Serious about that thing now. All right, so I'm going to start with my first guest, and his name is Born Magnetic. I'm so honored and blessed to have met this individual. He is a returning citizen, a community stakeholder, and as he says, a voice of the incarcerated voiceless. He is also an advocate for the post-traumatic prison disorder. It's a bill that's out of New York, and my other panelist, Shawana Vaughn, is here, and she introduced that bill. So I'm just gonna let Born tell you a little bit more about himself, however he chooses to do so.
Hello, nice to meet everybody. Nice to the panelists, to the guests. My righteous name was Born. My mother named me Arthur. I signed my checks with Arthur, so either one, it's okay. Let's see, where do I start? Well, yeah, at 19, I went to Virginia. I'm born and raised in New York City. So, but at 19, I went to Virginia, and I left in 2018. I went in 1993 to go away to school, and I wound up leaving Virginia in 2018. I served 25 years. I was facing the death penalty. I did 25 years, educated myself, got the knowledge of myself. Education is the key for me, right? Because at the end of the day, the crime that I committed only got laws passed against people that look like me. I didn't do anything to help anybody that looked like me. I only hurt people that look like me, right? Black and brown people everywhere. I came home in 2018. And while I was away, I had a plan. I just said, I get the opportunity to get home. I'm just going to run with it. And like I always call myself a voice for the voiceless, right? Because we leave a lot of men and women behind. And I came home at a time where it was like, you always see women propelling, women want their sons, their mothers, their husbands home. And I said, well, they need more men on the front line, right? To champion the cause. And I just told myself that when I got home, that's what I would do. I currently work with men and women. I work in the mental health field. I work in the mental health field with men and women who are coming home from Rikers Island. So, mental health is really big for me, and I didn't even know it till I met Shawana, who's on the panel. And, you understand that a lot of times men and women go to prison with trauma. We experience trauma in there, and then we bring trauma home, and we heap that trauma on, there's a psychological term called displaced aggression. And although we don't know where to channel that anger, right, we take it out on our number one champion, which is usually the woman. And it's not purposely, but we do it because we lack the understanding of how to you're never taught in prison where to channel your energy at. So that's prison doesn't rehabilitate you. It can only make you a better crook, a better criminal, a better drug dealer, a better alcoholic. So you have to take it upon yourself, to hone those energies. So I've been home 3 years. Again, like I said, I went in at 19, so I can't, case in point, this is the most, if I don't say anything in this introduction, this is imperative for anybody on this panel that has somebody incarcerated. A lot of times men and women come home older, but we also come home mentally the age that we went in. So although I came home in my 40s, I was mentally still 19, right? So 3 years later, the 19-year-old in me is now neck and neck with the 40 plus year old that I am. And I owe that in tune to Shawana because she showed a lot of care to me. That's just it. Everything else you can find out, we're gonna chop it up anyway. So thank you for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to meet everybody here, and hey, we're gonna be as transparent as we can. And I don't represent all men, but I'm just gonna be a representative tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, boy. Our next panelist is Shawana Vaughn. I could go on and on and on about Shawana. She's probably one of my most favorite human beings. But she is the founder and director of Silent Cry, and she is a champion for any and everything that deals with mass incarceration for women and for men. She is once again the sponsor. She introduced, designed, wrote the bill for post-traumatic prison disorder in the state of New York. She is an author. Her book is Cries for Change, The Journey from Incarceration to Advocacy. She's a mother, she's a sister, she's an activist, she's a friend. Oh my gosh, she's just an amazing human being and I love her so. And I'll just let you say more about yourself, Shawana.
There's no more to say. You and Arthur covered everything. I'm good. You guys are absolutely, oh my. I need you guys. You guys are great promos. I swear to God. Thank you, Darlene, for having me. Latasha has told me so many wonderful things about your organization. And it is just an honor to be in your company because I know that she chooses organizations with care. She told me, I researched you. I looked at you for a while. I was like, well, let's be friends then. So like, I know that, what you're doing is amazing. And when she tells me about it, I get excited because, I tell her, I'm like, listen, I champion mental health because everybody coming home from prison is mentally ill. No questions asked. Listen, everybody has residuals from prison. And my biggest advocacy is mental health because I came home unwell. I am 18 years in and I've been 15 years in therapy. And so this conversation was important tonight because you're talking about relationships. And, I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for me. Interpersonal relationships coming out of incarceration are very hard. Relationships for me with any humans are difficult. And so it's not just who I date, it's who do I trust? Who can I really befriend? And so though you'll see me in a crowded room of people, I still feel like I'm alone. And that's prison. I always feel like there's nobody. And I've had 15 years of therapy to try to work on it. And I tell people, I pretend as if, follow me home. When nobody sees when the door is shut, who will I be? And that's the person that I work on in therapy, not the person that you can see, it's the person you don't see. And so, I believe that this conversation is detrimentally important, that we talk about relationships and what they look like and what that looks like. So I'm hoping to gain so much knowledge tonight from everybody. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Shawana. All right, so I think we're ready to start these questions that we got, Darlene. You want to take it away?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And It's definitely a pleasure, to have my 10 toes in brother and sister here. And then also Mr. Bourne and Shawana, we are so privileged to have you guys to be a part of this conversation. So this is the very first question. This is going to lay the foundation for what we're going to be talking about this evening. So everybody, every panelist, we want to answer this, right? It doesn't matter what order, but we definitely want everyone to answer. So, how has the trauma of incarceration impacted your ability to interact with your partner or other interpersonal relationships? I'll say it again. How has the trauma of incarceration impacted your ability to interact with your partner or other interpersonal relationships? And if you don't speak up, I'm gonna choose you. Just saying.
I'll jump in before Darlene gets to tripping.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, no, I'm good. But no, realistically, I thought I was, and that was the problem, because I get defensive real quick. And one of the issues that I have is, like the brother said earlier, going in real young. A lot of times, a lot of people still talk to me, or they assume, or they talk to me like I feel that they're talking down to me like I'm a child, and that created a lot of friction in my relationship, because sometimes some people were doing it, but not everybody was. But I would get defensive quickly, and a lot of times I wouldn't hear what people were saying. In my mind, I was playing with myself, hearing, not really listening when people are talking. But that's something that I've had to work on, because I end up started taking a lot of things personal. And I told Darlene tells me all the time, knock it off. And but at this point, I can admit that I do take it personal, but that is something that I'm really working on, because it wore really heavy, because my partner got to the point to where she didn't know how to talk to me, and she was always worried that I would catch attitude.
I'll piggyback off of Osbert. Speaking from a wife's perspective, that has been one of our greatest challenges in our marriage. Fortunately, my husband has identified that. And one of the key factors that he has spoken about, and we've spoken about, and have tried to navigate through it, is he has admitted that one of our biggest issues is that he defies authority. So when I speak to him or, come to a decision, he has taken the position that I'm coming to him from a position of authority. And for that reason alone, he defies authority. That's been him all his life. And just from my perspective, I have raised my children alone. I'm a boss at work. So I'm used to speaking very directly with instruction, commanding, assertive. That's my mannerism. So when I speak to him, it isn't my intent to offend him or to try to instruct him as a child, but that is what he was hearing. And so that was a big red flag. And thankfully, he was able to identify that. And so we've had to learn the mechanisms to be able to stop when we are getting those flags and he's listening to me as authority rather than his wife. There's times where we literally have to do a timeout, and he'll be like, is this what you're trying to say? Or, there's certain words and we laugh about it now, but he'll tell me, don't tell me what to do. And that to me tells me he's hearing me as a voice of authority rather than his wife and his partner. And I have to tell him, I'm on your side. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm your teammate. And I have to remind him of that constantly. So from a wife's perspective, that is the biggest issue, because we're dealing with men that are coming home that are used to an environment where they have to be defensive 24/7, where the COs and the police are their opposition at all times. And so when they're coming home, they don't want to be told what to do anymore. They don't want to be told what side of the bed to sleep on. They don't want to be told what time to wake up at. They don't want to be told what to eat. And as wives, as their partners, our biggest challenge is to navigate through that and speak to them from a place of compassion and patience. It's not always easy, because sometimes you want to bite their heads off and be defensive, and remind them that we're their partners and we're their wives, and we're here as their biggest advocates. But that is one of the biggest factors that we are challenged with from a spouse's perspective. So as I hear Osbert indicating that definitely is our biggest challenge. And that's what, for couples or for women that are listening, that their men are still on the inside, you can take this information and understand that, put a plan in action going forward. When he does come home, start practicing now, because there's going to be those times, and at the beginning it was extremely rough, that you just have to do time out. Don't talk about it at the heat of the moment. Give yourself 30 minutes. Come back to the table when you're level-headed. It's easy to do when they're in there. They can call you back their next 15 minutes and you'll have a better head. But when you're in person, that's a whole different ballgame.
I'll pick up
Thank you.
after you, Gabby. I was incarcerated in 1980. And back then it was just way more deadly and dangerous than it is today. And so when I was in San Quentin, when you come out your cell, you have to always be aware of your surroundings. The races are always going at it for one reason or another. So I just developed a real keen perception and an ability to read people. And it's a good thing, but it could be a bad thing too. So one of the things that I find that comes from that is, a lot of times I kind of know what people are going to say before they say it. And that's just from just being tuned in and dialed in. I don't use any drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do any of that stuff. I just like to be sharp at all times. And I think that I am. And so what I find myself doing is it's like cutting people off before they finish their sentence and before they can get their thought across, because I feel like I already know what they're going to say. And most of the times I do. And so in my relationship with my wife, I do that to her and she hates it. And she's just let me finish, but I know what does that mean? Okay. So that could be a good thing, because I needed it in there. You can walk up to a group of guys and you don't know what they're thinking. They could be getting ready to launch an attack on another race, or they can get ready to do any kind of stuff. And so you have to be able to read people and read, what they're doing and what their body language. And, is this somewhere I need to be right now, or do I need to get the hell away from here? And so, that has permeated throughout my whole 30 years. And so as soon as I walk out the cell, I'm like, okay, what's going on, where we at, where my boys at, and what's going on. It's still the same today. That perception, that keen perception that you learn in there, patience, you learn patience in prison. You're sitting on your bed, waiting for them to release for chow, waiting for them to call your name for a food sale, waiting to go to the canteen. You can't go nowhere until they rack them doors and let you out. So you have to be patient. They're going to make you be patient, and there's no other choice. And so, 15, 20, 30 years of that, it's just ingrained in your brain. Same with discipline. So that trauma of just the constantly being aware of what's going on around you, it heightens your perception. And so that's still, when you walk out the gate, you're still like that. That didn't change. It's not going to change. You're just doing it out here instead of doing it in there. And you gotta kind of check yourself, because some people say it's being institutionalized. You institutionalized, but it's not necessarily a bad thing until it infringes on somebody else's liberty. It's like my wife. She don't like it when I do it, and I try not to do it. And with other people, I try not to do it. But sometimes it happens. I'm done.
May I? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I mean, piggybacking off of what the brother said and what the sister said before him, most of the times, like for myself and probably for most men, well, I can only speak for myself, and you might empathize or, be able to draw a connection. Communication is always the key, right? So in prison, it's like you said, it's an alpha male, it's a whole lot of, it's just testosterone. So a lot of times men, we speak to be heard, but we don't speak to listen. And I had to learn that about myself. Because in prison, like the brother said, you always cut, like your point is more important than the next person's point. And I feel like as long as however I got to get it across, if it's cutting you off, these are the mechanisms that I learned, and these are the things that I do. So, because I feel like what's most important is what you need to hear from me. And it's not to the neglect of what the female has to say in the relationship. It's just when you're in an environment where it's only men and the only females are COs and they are authoritative figures, you only want to get your point across. So you figure like what you're saying is not important. What I'm saying is more important than what you're saying. And when you get a turn to speak, so shall it be. But we don't mean to be, it's like, I didn't express these feelings the way like to be oppressive, but this is the environment in which I learned this. 25 years of only speaking to be heard, but never speaking to listen, especially if you didn't get no visits or you didn't have any interactions with anyone from society, right? And then we come home and like the sister said, I always told myself, right? I said, well, I'm coming home to a PO. I don't want another PO. Right? So it's normal in a relationship to ask questions. But guys and men and women coming from prison, we don't hear it the same way because all we hear is the authoritative figure. So like the sister, she hit it dead on the spot. So like there's really like you can prepare, right? And it's like for a woman, you can't feel like you're being less than. It's about knowing how to compliment, right? The key to the relationship is compliment, not complicate. That's the key, right? But I can't understand you because you're in society. And until I get into society, I'm only knowing a relationship in theory, no practice. So when I come home, I might get all my bumps and bruises with my very first female. And it's not fair to her. But what I'm saying is, right? You might make me better for the next woman. I don't mean to make you more bitter for the next man. Point blank, period. Thank you.
Anna.
Well, that's a mouthful to go behind. I'm not a man. And so for me being formerly incarcerated as a woman, coming home for me was different. And my attitude towards relationships were different. I watch women get raped by men, and I watch people violate women. So I came home with such a disdain and distrust for relationships and for men that I did not engage. And I like I said, I came home afraid because I didn't know what that looked like. And then I ran into the parole officer that was a predator. And so relationships, I think, are so different for men coming home than they are women. Because what I do know is that a woman is a nurturer and we will always hold men down coming home, no matter what they are, the behavior, we have them. Nobody has women. Nobody holds us down. Nobody lets us know it's okay. And I think we're the most traumatized and broken because there's no man on the other side for us. And for us to figure out relationships, I just believe it's 10 times harder because there's no body to really give you the boost you need or give you the encouragement you need. I heard Gabby say all these wonderful things that she does for her husband. I have never in 10 years heard a woman say the same thing about the husband that sat there for 20 years and held them down. Not happening, never happening. The minute they put cuffs on you, he's in the bed, he's done. And it's just not the same. And so I wish women had the securities that I've heard these men say tonight. But these are definitely not my experiences as a woman.
Wow. Thank you so much, Shawana. The next question that I have, and I just want to, I'm gonna direct it to you, Shawana, because you did say something in your introduction in regards to trust. And we see the hands and we appreciate the hands. And I know everyone has questions and things to say, but if you want to type your question into the chat so we can have it for future, but we want to make sure that we get everything, all our questions, Darlene and I's questions out before we take your audience questions, but we will get to you as soon as possible. So the question I want to direct to you, Shawana, first, and then anyone else on the panel who wants to jump in can do so. Describe the type of person that you can trust in an intimate relationship or interpersonal.
It's a really good question because I took trial and error. The type of person that I know I can trust now is not the type of person that I thought I could trust 18 years ago coming home. Through trial and error, I've learned that the person I can trust now is quiet because I'm loud. The person I know I can trust now is not overbearing. Like they said, the jailer, anybody who tells me what I can and cannot do automatically gets X'd. I'm kind of like a man. I don't like to compromise because I was like that. I don't have a compromising spirit, and I know my spirit, and it has allowed me to be alone because I always tell people I know that I am messed up far beyond what I could ever imagined, and I would hate to mess up a good man. And I say that to people like nobody wants to be honest. I would hate to mess up a good man because hurt people cannot heal anybody else. Two halves never make a whole. That's not what that is. And so I'm very selective about dating because I tell people my triggers, I tell people my trauma, and people say yes, but when they get in your triggers and traumas, they're like, whoa, absolutely not. So, at this juncture, I want somebody that'll pray for me and with me. I want somebody that'll hold my hand when I cannot carry myself. I need somebody who's understanding. And that's what I look for in this point on this journey. And it's genuinely like I just got in a relationship. Like my brother can tell you, I just got in a relationship that I actually am compatible with another human being, and he takes all my trauma and he's okay with it. That's a lot because you know what? Me saying I'm a woman who's formerly incarcerated is not like saying I'm a man who's formerly incarcerated. And so a lot of men are like, And not only am I formerly incarcerated, I want to go out every day of the week and I want to go talk about it. I want to write legislation about it. I want to stand on the mountaintop about it. I want to go rally at every prison. That's a lot for a man. And I finally found somebody who wants to go stand at the rally with me, who's never been incarcerated. And that's my number one rule. I will not date anybody who's ever been in prison. I will not, because I'm traumatized and you're traumatized. We're going to traumatize each other. Absolutely not. That is my one golden rule. Like I cannot, because we're both traumatized. Somebody has to have another trauma, but not that. So that's what it looks like for me.
Anyone else on the panel want to jump in on that? Describe the type of person that you can trust in an intimate relationship.
Yeah, I'll come behind that. That's kind of wow. So for me, I think for me, most importantly, I started like this, right? I came home in 2018. So I think I gave myself to a lot of women that didn't deserve me, point blank, period. That's it. And a lot of women that I deserved didn't deserve the guy that I was when I came home. So like trust, I was told on so by my best friend. So, to learn trust, like from a woman, I wasn't in a space where I knew myself. So I didn't really know trust, right? I knew things that I liked, because there's a level of vulnerability that when you're coming home, there's some things that you've seen or you want to share, right? It takes and let me say this. Women are resilient, nurturing by nature. It takes a certain type of heart. And this is not to discredit any woman on the panel or take away from any woman who doesn't deal with a man who's incarcerated. But all that you think you know or you are ready for, we are going to test everything that you say you're willing to do and stand on. And it's not purposely, it's just we have seen a lot and experienced a lot. So, if I come home and I'm saying, well, I slept with the light, I was in a cell for 25 years with a light on, right? And you're used to sleeping with the light off. And I'm saying, see, you might think you're ready for that, right? But your heart is going to give it to us and say, you know what, I'm willing to give into that. So for me, like a lot of things that I trust, I have is the amount of disrespect that I may have showed females, right? Knowingly and trying to get myself together, it wasn't correct. And I come from a family full of women. So I go to Shawana, right? And I sit with Shawana and she don't put up with it or tolerate it, but I bring it to her because she sees me in a manner where, I'm not just a nice face. I would love for a woman to see me as a whole man, because the young man in me, I was running around and doing this, that, and the third. But then there's the man in me that says, I want stability because, I'm not going to say I'm not a fish, but I am a great man to be in your corner because I always come and bring something to the table. So for me, the type of person that I can trust is someone that sees me naked, transparent. I see her naked and transparent, right? And we can heal and build together. Point blank, period. Thank you.
Okay, so
I'll chime in now. I'm sorry, you want to go ahead, Ray?
I was going to kind of piggyback off what the brother was saying. I look for the good in people. I'm a pretty trusting person, and I'll trust a person until they give me a reason not to trust them. I'm not going to, put $1 million in your hand and trust that you're going to do, I'm not going to trust you to that level, but, just basic, just meeting somebody and, trusting them. I'll trust them. I'm not going to put them in a position to hurt me or nothing like that. But a lot of people are trustworthy. You can trust them and they'll do right by you. And you have to give them a chance to do that. I developed a lot of relationships with guys when I was in prison. And I'll meet one of my partners and we'll bond, and we used to ask each other's questions and, and just just cultivate the friendship over the years. You did 15, 20 years with this person. And we sit in the bleachers and we'll ask questions like, what would you do if you and I were at home on Christmas and we're putting my son's bike together and I need a tool to finish putting the bike together, and I get in my car and drive to the store to get the tool. I'll leave you there finishing the bike together, and my wife comes out and she tries to come on to you because she knows I'm gone. What would you do in that situation? And those type of questions we would always ask each other. And most of them will say that they, man, I just wouldn't, I wouldn't want you to get hurt. I wouldn't say nothing, I'll just tell her that it ain't nothing happening. And, some guys even said, man, I'll take her down. If that's what it is, that's what it is, So those type of questions that you ask your friends and you cultivate relationships over the years, you find that a lot of guys are trustworthy. A lot of guys will be your ride and die partner. It's been several guys that I picked up at the bus station once they got out of prison, taking them shopping, taking them, to get clothes and their cosmetics and all the things that they need, and giving them jobs right there, putting them in managing my houses, training them up a couple of days, put them in as managers, and they do a great job, and they fiercely loyal because of the love. And these are guys that I did a lot of time with, and I just happened to get out before them. But when they get out, I'm in a position to do that for them. And so I trust them. I have like 4 or 5 managers managing my houses right now. They're like brothers to me, and I trust them. So I'm not the type of person that's really cynical about life in general. I look for the goodness in a person, and I will give a person trust until they give me a reason not to. A lot of the times, I never get that reason not to trust them. But if I had that, that hard outlook that I don't trust nobody, I don't trust no, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff because a lot of people are trustworthy. My wife, we've been married for 26 years. I trust her with my life. There's nobody on this earth that I trust more than I trust her. And I just know she got my back. Right now, we're doing really good. We're really successful. We just bought a $1 million house, and she's loving it. But it hasn't always been like that. She has demonstrated to me what she'll do for me when I'm down, and that's knock them visiting room doors down on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Instead of being home with her family, she's sitting in the visiting room with me, eating wings and freaking hamburgers, and where she could be home eating Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner with family. So that means a lot to me. So for me to come home and not trust her is ridiculous. She's a great woman. I love her and I trust her. Hey, Rosie. I see you, Rosie. I see you, Rosie.
Gabby, I think you had something that you wanted to say, Gabby.
Yeah, I'll answer that question pretty quickly. From a wife's perspective, from a female's perspective, on the other side, we too carry trauma with us. We don't come into these relationships, with these delicate flowers. We have thorns and we have baggage. And so for me, one of the biggest things that I look for in my husband, as Ray said, is trust. Because I've had my own traumatic experiences. I've dealt with domestic violence. I've dealt with all of those things that traumatize a woman. So when we are dealing with incarcerated men that tell us all the beautiful things, that's a difficult thing to transition to trust. For my experience, I've known my husband all my life, but I wasn't with him all my life. But I did know him, that even as we were children, that I always trusted him. So I knew for me that was the number one thing that I needed in my life for my security, was trust. And he did provide that for me. And so many of us women that are in with these relationships have those issues. We have our own baggage and we have our own traumas. And as much as men deal with PTSD from being in prison, us women deal with PTSD issues from either domestic violence or, rapes or things of that nature. And so this is a very true factor. And the key for me has always been trust. I need to trust him with my life and my heart and my mind and my soul, that he's not going to break it. And if you don't have that trust, then you don't have anything. And that is the key for me.
Can I add something real quick on that?
Absolutely.
I try not to let my prison experience jade me. I mean, I'm a pragmatic individual. I'm somewhat skeptical at times, but this is something that I actually talk to a lot of the fellas about, especially when we talk about trust with relationships, whether it be intimate, whether it be friends, whatever. My thing is, I try to surround myself with individuals that got my best interest at heart. And so the fact is, whether we have a disagreement, whether we have a situation, a problem, an argument, or whatever, the fact is, I know that it was done, it was innocent, and I know there's no malice involved in that. So understanding that if I understand, the mistakes that I made was because some of the flawed thinking. But coming out here, that's one of the things that I teach in the workshops, whether it be family or friends, surround yourself with individuals that have your best interests at heart, that want to see you succeed. So at this point, if something does go wrong, you can actually mend it because there was no hostility or any malice that happened for that. And I just try to keep it as simple as that.
Okay. Darlene?
All right. Well, I'm just so filled right now with all of the transparency that our panelists, brothers and sisters, are conveying this evening. So my question is, what are some triggers you experience in an intimate relationship that can cause you to withdraw or withhold affection? I'm gonna say it again. What are some triggers you experience in an intimate relationship that could cause you to withdraw or withhold affection?
Wow.
I'll go. So when I first came home, for everybody who's formerly incarcerated, I was in a relationship with my son's father, and he called the police on me. The moment I said I did not want him and put him out of my house, he called the police. And the moment I realized I was going to be in handcuffs because I was the one on parole, yeah, that changed life for me. That I realized that people actually use it as a form of control, torture, and punishment. So that is the thing that will make me retreat.
Thank you, Shawana. Any of the other panelists?
I'm
Okay,
gonna say,
this is for the panelists, honey. So we're going to have
okay.
you guys' questions after the panelists speak. But thank you.
Well, for me, Darlene, it's real kind of simple. I mean, me and my wife, we don't have a whole lot of issues. Sometimes I think she nags me, and I just don't like to be nagged. Little stuff, I got a lot of love and respect for my wife. Just for her to be there for me all of those years. It's just like I do whatever I can do to make life great for her. And when she nags me, and she don't think it's nagging, but I think I feel like it's nagging. I'll come in and the dishes will be pile of dishes in the sink, and she'll be on the computer doing some work. I'll go in and I'll do all the dishes, put them up, dry them, and spotless kitchen. And then I'll go sit down, and I might eat some watermelon, and then I'll just set the bowl on the floor next to the recliner where I'm watching TV. And then she'll come out and she'll get on me about leaving the bowl right there. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, didn't I just clean that whole kitchen? And you nagging me about this bowl? I'll get it when I get up. I'm in the middle of the game. Just to me, I say, just pick it up and get it. Go put it in the kitchen. Don't talk to. I don't want to hear about that. And so I'll snap and bite, and then I hurt her feelings, and then I'll go back and I have to apologize and make it right, and there's something else will come up, and so a lot of relationships, a lot of couples have problems with cheating, with beating, hands-ons, drinking, misappropriating the funds. We don't have none of those issues. it's just little stuff. And sometimes I tell her, well, you know, I'm gonna give you something to really be mad about, because you get mad about this little stuff you don't really know. So then I know that hurt her feelings, and I have to go back and apologize. So for me, it's just really, really nagging. Just, you know, just get my back, have it. Just, you know, if you see me do something like that, just clean it up, fix it, and don't tell me about it, because I don't want to hear it. I feel like I do way too much, running 2 businesses and all of this stuff that I do, constantly busy. I don't get much rest. I'm up at 4 in the morning most days on the computer working, and I'm finishing up at 4 in the evening, 4 in the afternoon, and just getting a lot done, and getting, and, you know, being able to just take care of her in a manner in which I think that she needs to be taken care of. And the little nicky-nack stuff, ew, irks me. So any suggestions? Natasha, you know what I'm talking about too, don't you? I hear that big smile, you know it.
So that may cause you to withhold affection. So we get it. It's the little things that count. It's the little things. We may think it's the big things, but it's always the little things. So thank you, Ray, for sharing that. Any other panelists want to say something? This is just for the panelists right now.
I'm glad.
For me, Darlene. Sorry, Albert.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
For me, there's 2 things that caused me to withdraw. The first one is lack of affection. And I know we've talked about this in our group, because I known my husband to be extremely attentive and affectionate while he was behind the wall. But when he came home, that sort of shifted, you know, because now he's working, and now there's family, there's all kinds of stuff. And I'm not used to that. And so we've had those conversations where, you know, I'm like, where's the guy that used to write me those letters? And the guy that I used to visit? You know, I need that affection, because for me, that's a sense of security for me. That's my love language. I need to be told I'm loved. I need to be held to feel like I'm loved. And when I don't feel that, it causes me to withdraw. Like, what's wrong? Like, you know, what's happening here? And I have to, you know, there's times where I do communicate that, hey, hello, like, you know, can you say I love you? Can, you know, I'm not feeling this, you know. And so we, you know, that's where the communication comes in. The other thing that causes me to withdraw is aggression. When I see and I get any sense of aggression, and that really could be in a form of, like I said earlier, when we're in a conversation and he's like, don't tell me what to do. Just that alone causes me, because of my own trauma, to immediately withdraw, because I then immediately become defensive, and I'm like planning steps 2, 3, 4, you know, and that is one of the biggest factors for me to withdraw. When I sense any kind of aggression, or, you know, I could tell that look in his eyes, like, I have to remind him, I'm not somebody on the yard. I'm your wife. Come back to earth, come back to home. You know, I'm not going to stick you, I promise. You know, I got, you know, and I have to, like, look at me, like, this is me.
Right,
so those are the 2 big factors that cause me to withdraw.
Okay, thank you, honey, for sharing. We appreciate that.
That was good.
Osberg?
No, I was gonna say, man, Ray said it simple, man. The N-word, that was it, man. Nitpicking and all that. I mean, because yeah, that's a mood killer right there. And especially when you keep going on, and you know, and she know we heard you, but then you're gonna keep saying until I snap. Then when I snap, I'm the bad guy. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, what did I do? You know what I mean? It's now I'm sitting up here like I feel bad because I snapped. But now the fact is, she's sitting up there like she ain't done nothing. But that nagging to do, that's a buzz kill, man. That's it. That's all. I could take a lot. You know, I could take a lot and still be affectionate. You know, when the mood hit, it's like that train is going. But that nagging, it'd be like, man, I'm tapping out, man. You know, that's the number one.
Okay. Are there any other triggers for you, Osborne? Aside from that N word?
Well, I like to think of myself as a pretty progressive individual myself, and so at this point, I think the other one is the one that you always press on when we talk about the individual going in at a young age, and when you come out, you're still that age, and that one I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting out. That one I'm not going with that, because that turns into something, because that's when people think that I need my hand held, and that'd be the issue. But those are basically it, unless
Okay.
you go put me out on something else.
No, that's it. That's it, brother. All right, thank you. Okay, Bourne, did you have anything to say about that question? You good? Okay. All right, Latasha.
Okay, so we have so many of our participants here on the call who are itching, I know, to say something or have a comment or a question. So this is going to be the last question that we pose from Darlene and myself, and we're going to give everybody an opportunity to comment or ask a question. You can get on the mic, or you can put it in the chat. And if you don't want to say it on the mic, you can actually put it in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to you. So this question that I want to ask is, how do you, and we've been, and it might really kind of bleed into what we've already said, just even more specific, but how do you hold yourself accountable in your relationship? How do you hold yourself accountable? We just talked about how, it's the nagging or this or whatever the issue is that is a trigger for you. What do you do to hold yourself accountable in your relationship when you know that you did something wrong? Or how can you measure that for yourself?
I'll answer that.
You answer that? Okay.
But accountability is the key, right? That's most important, right? So we ain't gonna give the politically correct answer like, can we curse? No, it's okay. So I can articulate without cursing. But
Okay.
if I'm doing some dumb stuff, I gotta be accountable for that, right? Because as much good as I want to be held accountable for, like I might want some flowers, and I also gotta hold myself accountable for the negativity that I'm bringing to the table as well. So, I've had conversations with women. I'm not in a relationship. I'm not built for it right now. That's the most honest thing I could say, right? So when I'm approached or when I'm engaging in conversations, I have to tell a woman, yo, this may be what you might think this is what you want, but this ain't what you want, because I can't give to you what I have yet to give to myself. That's the most honest statement that I can say, because I could be with you and you could still be lonely, and who wants that? Right? So I think for me, I had a conversation with my younger sister, and I said, I heard a female, and I talked to man, I keep Shawana up at night. I might call Shawana at 2 a.m, like, listen, and she answered the phone because I told my sister this one. I said, yo, I find myself waking up in the middle of the night, 2, 3 a.m, thinking about what I've done to this particular female, to this particular woman. So my younger sister said, well, listen, the fact that you wake up at night shows that you got a conscience and you care. Because there are a lot of men on the planet that sleep comfortable at night doing wrong, right? So for me, most importantly, right, at the end of the day, it's knowing that accountability, right? And I was talking to Darlene about this the other day, and I said, and I asked her, and I'm gonna pose this question to anybody, you can just ask yourself and answer it quietly. In the word relationship, what is the most important word to you, right? So I say ship. And the reason why I say ship is because ships deal with the art of buoyancy. And you can't stay afloat if you don't have buoyancy. So there has to be a level of equality, and we have to deal with the level of accountability, because the relation is going to sink if it's not a ship. But thank you.
Anybody else for that question? How do you hold yourself accountable in your relationship? Thank
And
you.
let me just say this before you guys answer, please keep it short because we are on a time frame, but we definitely want to hear what you have to say. Okay?
Okay, I want to say something real brief. My wife was born and raised in the church. You know, she's a devout Christian, and I was kind of born and raised in the streets. And so, and then went to prison and then came back. So, a lot of times I'll snap at her, and I'll say stuff to her that hurts her feelings. And so, and I know that, she's just a sweet church going lady that, some kind of way God put me in her life as that guy that she used to be with. We've been married for 26 years. So how I hold myself accountable is I apologize, and I don't have a problem apologizing. And you know what? A lot of times I apologize when I'm right, and I know I'm right, but I just apologize for the peace. And so that's how I hold myself accountable. I don't like her to be upset and mad at me. I think about all the years she drove to those visiting rooms and sat out there and visited with me, and so I try to make her happy at all times. And so that's how I hold myself accountable.
That's good. That's good, Ray. And can I just say this, that an apology goes a long ways. It really does. It can make or break a situation. Okay, so is there someone out there with our guests that would like to raise your hand so that we can see you if you would like to answer that question or you have a question for the panelists?
Okay, we have Belle. You want to jump on? You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, for me, shoot, I ain't got no problem apologizing. If I'm doing something wrong, I will apologize. If I have to apologize 5 times, I would do that. One of the biggest changes I've made when I was in prison was because of my relationship with my wife. I did 30 years in prison, and it still stays because this is the game changer for me. This is how I turned my life around. Because you have bad habits, you have bad habits. And one of those bad habits was me talking to other women. And so I didn't know it affected her that much. I'm just talking. But, in order for you, for me, I had to turn my life around. And I recognized that when I seen them tears, that really affected me because it's a woman that came out there, visit me all the time and loved me unconditionally. And I broke her heart. And so the talking was over with, and I had to use my actions. I had to dig deep and just continue to do everything that I can to win her back. And I've done that. I've been home for 4 years now, and I continue to do that. And I don't have no problem. Me and her is like, if I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do and she checks me, I'll listen and we communicate, we listen to each other, we talk. It's not perfect all the time, but my relationship is very important to me. So if I got to apologize 20 times, I'm going to do that because I love her that much.
Cool. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that. Thank you. Anyone else?
Tatiana has her hand up.
Tatiana.
For me, I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes.
But for me, apologizing, accountability, the things that I went through in this last year have shaped me into a different woman. So I was also dealing with someone incarcerated, and I believe I forget who said it, and it stuck out to me because they don't know what we go through. So apologizing. And my biggest thing, I don't think anyone mentioned it, friendship. And I told my ex-fiance, I said, be my friend until we get back. Because we are going through something. We have children. We did the thing where we was singing happy birthday from the televisit. So all the visits and stuff and everything. And when you build up someone from the inside and they come home and it's like a slap in the face, it's like nothing that you did ever mattered, never, like and I knew this person for a very long time. We went through the worst of the worst. So I felt so comfortable in everything that everyone actually summed up. And I was like shaking my head and stuff because I know like the trust, the woman on the outside and us being those who stand up as we're businesswomen, we're mothers, we are holding the fort down when they're incarcerated. It takes a toll on you. So for me, be my friend until we get back. And that means apologizing, taking accountability. My relationship went to, excuse me, shits because of the accountability part. I cannot express how bad I just wanted him to just say, you know what? I did it. That was me. I apologize. And that I feel like they come home with a lot of damage. And I'm a woman that I stand up for myself. Maybe I'm too overly independent, but me, I just can't just accept, just, you know what? All right, whatever. It is what it is. I can't accept that. So take accountability for what you do. I feel like the friendship matters most. Us being friends first. So if we're friends first, we'll know how to deal with anything. We'll know how to deal with anything that comes our way. Let's take off the hat of the wife and let's take off the hat of the husband and let's put on, okay, this is my friend and this is what I'm going to apologize for. I know I did this, and I try to do all of the therapy where every week you know, okay, well, this week we're at the end of the week, you say what you did wrong and I say what I did wrong, and at the end of the week we'll just say, you know what, we'll just be better next week. It didn't work how I thought it was gonna work. So yeah. And yeah, accountability is very big on my part.
Tatiana, I want to thank you for bringing up friendship, because that's what I teach in behind the wall and beyond the wall in our groups, because that lays the foundation, because you guys are accepting each other for who you are pretty much unconditionally. And I can speak from personal experience. My ex-fiance, who I started 10 Toes In with, we're no longer together, but we are the best of friends. And he's actually joining us with his partner tonight from Belize.
Really?
And can I tell you, it is a beautiful friendship. It's family,
Friendship.
it's kinship.
Yep.
Right?
And you're with that person, so you know them the most.
Absolutely.
And I believe, I don't know if it's Latasha, I believe I heard a little bit about, you know, your story from one of my close friends. I'm not sure which one, but it really inspired me. And I just wanted to listen because I want to start my own foundation for men that's incarcerated when I'm, you know, because I came to Pennsylvania to be a parole officer, but now I want to go and speak to and actually give the men a better, and women, a better outlook. There's more to life. You know, start your business, do what you have to do. Don't work for anybody. Work for yourself. Be for yourself. Be who you are. So I'm grateful to sit in on this this Zoom meeting, because it's giving me a lot of insight on, you know, how the men because and a woman, I am very shocked. Like, I cannot believe, and I'm more so woman power. So when she said her story, it was so life changing for me, because we don't have that support system. We really, it's a lack. Only person I know kinda is Papoose and Remy Ma, but that's celebrity stuff. But we really do not have that foundation. We don't.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ernest?
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay. I'm currently separated from my husband. When we speak about how do you hold yourself accountable, first and foremost, I think as for me is concerned, first, being true to myself and being true to what it is that I'm feeling and what it is that I'm dealing with before I can walk it out. So first think it, then speak it, then walk it out. I personally feel that what I'm currently dealing with is several apologies that were received, but an apology without changed behavior is simply manipulation. to apologize and to keep repeating that behavior. That's why I admire the brother that when he recognized, the brother with the beard, I didn't quite get his name, when he recognized that he saw, you know, his wife, his significant other, her tears and how what he was doing was affecting him, how he apologized and then changed the behavior and is still, you know, moving forward with that changed behavior to, I think that makes all the difference in both us as women, you know, with the man behind the wall, or that, you know, whether he's home or not, as well as for the man. So to hold ourselves accountable is to also to be able to walk it out, and to walk it out without regret, without hesitation, without, you know, to do so with, you know, the intent of restoration and bringing forth happiness and balance within the relationship.
Thank you.
Awesome. Do we have anyone who has any questions directly for the panel? Your comments are amazing. Thank you for contributing. Any questions for the panelists? You can put it in a chat, or you can ask to speak to them directly. Let's not be shy.
We have a quiet group.
We know we ain't quiet up in here.
Okay, we already know that. Ernest?
No, we not.
You didn't have anything else to say? Because I'm gonna start picking on people. Okay, they quiet. Like Keisha sitting over there quiet. She knows she's not quiet in our sister support group meetings. All right, Keisha. So what has made an impact on you this evening with our panelists? We can't. Okay, there you go.
Right, there you go. Hello, everybody. What impacted me was, I guess, the transparency, how everybody is so, you know, outspoken on their relationship, which brought about a lot of, you know, a lot of clarity on a lot of things as far as the way we behave, or should I say the way the men behave and the women when they come out, how to treat them. And bottom line is that we just need love. And like the young lady said, apologies without behavior is kind of manipulative. So it was really very informative. Some stuff that, you know, that I think we all should just hold near and dear to our hearts is, you know, really just how to talk to people. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And so we're all adults. And so, you know, it's a way to get your point across without, you know, being so harsh and everything. You just have to treat people like how you want to be treated, basically. So if we can all just keep that in mind and, you know, understand that everybody has a different background. And for us, most of us, we all understand the same background, you know, from our men or our women that are incarcerated. So we have to deal with that. But other than that, it was beautiful. I see a lot of faces. Hello to everyone. And man, I enjoyed it. I had to step out for a minute because of course Tyrone was on the phone, but he says hello and to everyone, and that you know, just God bless you all. And thank you for picking on me first.
You know I'm gonna pick on you. You already know. All right, thank you, honey, for sharing.
All right.
I know that there was someone in the chat that said that she had a similar experience to Gabby. I don't know if she wants to share or she just was mentioning it in the chat.
It was Treva. She's
Treva.
Oh, hi. No, I just hello everyone. I'm Treva. So when she started talking, Gabby, just similarities. My husband's currently doing 25 to life. We've been knowing each other since we were kids. We're from the same neighborhood. And then we both have different backgrounds. I come from a strict Catholic family, and his family he comes from a family pretty much from the streets, you know, drug dealing to pimping and stuff. So it was a big shock when for my family, for me to get involved with him at a very young age. So we've been married 25 years, but we've been knowing each other over 30. So it's been a real struggle, back and forth, like a roller coaster. So when Gabby said the roller coaster just was an eye opener for me. So it's been a pretty rough ride. So, and then with, we separated, I think, about 12 years after he went to prison. And I ended up I'm in the medical field. I've been in the medical field for about 30 years. So I even worked at the jail where he got sentenced at, just to get a better understanding. So I actually worked in the medical unit at the jail for about 8 years. So we ended up reconnecting back in 2012. So I just pretty much, we've been back together since then. So now with just have a lot of stress, like commuting and then trying to visit him. Now he went ahead and transferred closer to me. So he's about 3 hours from me now. But before it was like a long trip. I would have to take a flight to Southern California because I live in Northern California. So I think the big struggle too is with him now at the prison, I drive, my round trip is 6 hours for a 2-hour visit. And now there's no visiting, everything's on video. So, and within 15 minutes, the call is just so limited.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough being separated from your loved one. And we are so happy that you're on this call, Treva, so that you can get some insight and be supported, on your journey. So we look forward to you being a part of the Sister Support Group.
I really enjoyed everybody's conversation tonight too.
Good. Happy.
Anyone else? Anyone else? We just have a few more minutes before we wind down and wrap it up. As Darlene said, we're just so blessed and honored that everyone is here, and we're hoping that it has served you in some kind of way. Just little tidbits of solutions or just experiences that these experiences, everyone's experience is different, first and foremost. Everybody's experience is going to be different. And it's just a matter of you being an active participant in your situation so that you and your partner, whomever you're with, you can begin to build a foundation, a trust, a relationship, a friendship, as I said, that fits your needs. Knowing your partner, knowing those traumas of your own, as Gabby so eloquently said in so many instances, as well as Shawana, knowing yourself. Because once you know yourself, then you can hold yourself accountable in a relationship, because, the other person that came home is not the only bad person, right? If we wanted to use that term, and we don't want to do that because we don't have bad people. We just have certain behaviors that are not favorable. So we all have to be accountable in those situations, but we also have to be able to communicate to one another so that we can continue to grow with one another. So
let's go to Philip and Deidre in Belize.
All right, of course. Yes.
Belize in the house.
Belize in the
Central
house.
America.
Wow.
Hey, look, everybody gonna be expecting to hear an accent, but ain't no accent,
That's okay.
No, but hey, good night, everyone. Congratulations, Darlene, on your years that you've been incorporated, 501. You've been at this a long time, and you're a trooper. For everyone, my name is Philip Thompson. This is Miss Deidre McKeithy. We're coming to you from Belize, like Darlene said. I am 10 Toesing co-founder and Darlene's best friend. And I has I I was incarcerated 24 years. I've been free going a little over a year, and I'm getting into life, love, and relationship out here in the free world, and you know, it's different. It's different than being in a relationship in prison. You know, it's a lot more to be accountable for now. Before, you know, I had an excuse. I was in prison, but now ain't no excuse. I'm out here. I gotta make it happen, and I gotta hold myself accountable for my actions. And I have to be face to face. Ain't no more visiting room lockdowns, phone calls, and all that. I gotta face my partner every single day, you know, and holding yourself accountable is very important to me because uh, that's how that's how I feel I grow. You know, once I learn something and I and I utilize that tool, I grow because it's a challenge for me to be able to. It used to be a challenge for me to say, you know, I'm sorry, or you know, I apologize, or really admit I was wrong. You know, before it was never my fault. Not my fault. You made me do it. You know, or some of that nature. You know, but that's the mentality from the street. We grew up in the streets today. You'll never admit you wrong. You never take fault. You know, keep your mouth shut and let the chips fall where they may. But now being a man and understanding right from wrong um, and holding myself accountable and put myself in the next person's shoes and so forth, um, I've grown and it's easy for me to turn to my partner and say, look, you know, I apologize for this. You know, I didn't mean to say it like that or say it this way. I said it and I apologize. You know, and I feel that every argument it's two people. You know, so regardless of you know what happened, if I have some fault in it somewhere, I immediately search my brain try to figure out, you know, what part did I play in it? You know, how can I make it right? So I apologize and take the necessary steps to make it right. Uh, And and I think that it helps your relationship grow because if your partner sees that you being who you are, to say you wrong or you apologize and take the necessary steps to make it right, and they see it, then when they wrong, you know, it's easier for them to, you know, say, uh, you know, my bad. I'll take that, you know, and it grows. That's how I started. My bad. But now I'm a man. Hey, baby, I apologize. You know, I'll do my best to not make sure it doesn't happen again, and you know, go from there. But I won't hold up the floor too much. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
We
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you
We
for
do.
letting me share.
It was so good to see. I'm so happy to see you guys in Belize. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Norris, for sharing. I just wanted to also shout out our brother, Mario Duran, who's joining us from El Salvador. He was one of our graduates at Avenal State Prison. So, hey, Mario, thank you for joining us, brother.
Karen has a question in the chat, Darlene, and we got El Salvador and Belize. Wow, we international tonight, ain't we?
Yes, we are.
Karen, did you want to ask on the mic, or do you want me to just ask for you? And it's for anybody on the panel, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it really resonated with me, right? What Gabby was saying about having to like tell her husband, like, whoa, wait, hold up, right? Like literally, I'm not gonna stab you in your neck, right? Like this is not the yard, respectfully, sir. And we don't have to get down like that. Like that really resonated with me deeply. And I imagine that it's more strong when someone first comes home, but I'm wondering what that looks like over time and what the balance looks like, right? Because I hear the men saying, hey, I don't want to be questioned. I don't want to be nagged. I don't want to be nitpicked. I don't want to be told what to do. And then we come to this as women as well, with all due respect, right? With valid questions. With Gabby named it. She said, I've been running my house. I've been making decisions, right? I've been doing all this here. So what does that balance look like, I guess, is what I'm asking. I don't know. And I'll step back and hope for someone to step in.
Thank you, Karen. So anyone, the panelists, can address that question. What does the balance look like?
And does it get better over time?
Well, I think that I can't really say. I'm not the correct person to say over time because of short period of time that I have been free. But I think every relationship is what you put into it and what you as a couple together, what we put in our relationship and the time spent nurturing it. No relationship is perfect, right? You always gonna have your issues and problems, regardless of how much love you have for each other and how much work you put into it. However, it helps. It's like a vaccine, you know. It helps soften whatever issues come up because you guys know how to deal with each other. You know, with me, and my relationship, in our relationship, you know, I've been in prison for a lot of years. The way I speak is not always, you know, soft-hearted. You know, I'm not a soft person, and I'm used to talking to men, killers, and people that do, you know, that's serious. So when I speak, I'm always serious when I speak. If I try to convey something, it's always, hey, look, and I express that. However, it don't always come out soft. And my woman, she's like softness, you know. And soft, yeah, I try to be. And we she say that what? I'm too hard, you know, I'm too hard, and that's something I have to work on. But and I see over time, if you give it time and you're serious about being in the relationship that you're in, then you make the necessary change. You have to make the decision to make the change in you and each individual, you know. When she tell me something, like I don't like nobody tell me what to do. I've been told what to do for years. And the first when people tell me what to do, it's the tone in their voice that tells me if I'm a move or not. And I had to check that with my woman, with my lady, you know, when she tell me to do something, I have no problem spinning on my heels and going go do it. If she say that shirt don't look good, you should wear that shirt out. I value her opinion, you know, and so I spin and change my shirt, regardless of who's here, or who knows, or whatever. I don't care. I value what she says. Tells me that, and it's vice versa. You know, if I never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't. So um, I think over time that just gets better and it helps deal with situations as they come up.
I'll add to that. I think there's time, communication, and commitment that are key. You know, at the beginning, it was like a chess game. We were trying to figure each other out. As long as we've known each other, we've never lived together. And so we were trying to figure out our gestures, our tones, our demeanors, our best interests for each other. And so in time, that has become more transparent with each other. but it had to take communication and breaking down those walls, those defensive walls. Because, you know, in all essence, it's easy to quit. You know, I didn't have to deal with him coming home. I don't have to deal with somebody doing 28 years, you know, and all of the stuff that comes with it. I didn't have to. It was easier not to deal with that before. And the one thing, because of the love that we have for each other, we made a commitment to say, through the hard times, through the good and through the hard times, we're going to see this out. We're going to see the fruition of our marriage. We're going to see, you know, the fruit of all the hard work and investment we've done in each other. And that takes commitment. And it's gotten better. I'll tell you, like, it was really hard at the beginning. It was really, really hard. Just our different styles. I'm a woman, he's a man. That in its own has its problems, you know. And then you add all these complexities to it and all these layers. It makes it that much more difficult. But the commitment and the communication has helped us bridge through that process, and it's getting better as the days go by. It's better. It's easier. Like, we can look at each other now, and we know with just a look, and the communication has gotten 100 times better. But it does take commitment. It takes to say, you know what, no matter what, we're in it to win it. We're not leaving. There's no plan Bs, only plan A. We're in a marriage, you know, we're in this committed relationship. We said vows for a reason. And so it does take commitment and patience. So, you know, I encourage everybody that has dealt with this or is going to deal with this, surround yourself with people that are going to encourage and help you transition through this process, because that's key.
Gail, we see your hand. Let me just say this really quickly. I cannot emphasize enough how much language and tone means in a relationship, especially when we are talking to our men, because that tone can be a trigger for him. The language that we use can be a trigger for him as well as us. So we have to be very cognizant on respecting that and how we talk to them, the words that we use with each other, right? Because we want to make sure that we stay in that respectful zone with each other. Because I say this all the time, you chose that person to be on your team. You chose that person. So if you chose that person, you make sure that you guys are strong together. And in order to be strong together, you have to know each other's triggers. You have to know what makes each other happy and do your best to keep a smile on each other's face. Okay? Bill.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with Gabby. She hit some of that stuff right on the head, as far as the commitment and just having balance. You know, like you said, Darlene, the tone. You know, when you're talking to somebody, you know, sometimes that's a trigger. You know, for me, sometimes, you know, when my wife raises that tone, you know, a couple of extra levels, it's like, okay, you know, but yeah, it's just a lot of work and a commitment. You know, the trust is there because she knows I'm not going to look nowhere else. I know she won't, but it's like when we used to gang bang, we put all our work into that. You know, we wanted to be everything that we wanted to be, gang banging. Well, I take that same type of energy now into my relationship. Everything that I need to do to make sure that, you know, to understand her, it's every day. Every day is something different. Every day is a challenge, you know. But back in the days, I didn't, you know, when something was challenging for me, I'll run from it. I'll go get high, kick it with the homies. But today, I love challenges. You know, that just makes it more stronger for us to grow together. You know, so right on, Gabby. You know, she coming with some good stuff tonight too. You know, give me some good perspective of how, you know, all the things that women go through, and out of the women that spoke tonight. You know, it just kind of like opened up, you know, and made me realize what they go through, you know, because from guys that been in prison, you know, okay, we understand. I know what's going on with prison, but to have a better understanding on what the women go through out here is like, okay, all right, I can dig that. So thank you for that.
Okay, Darlene, we think we got 5 minutes, so I think we need to let our esteemed panelists give their closing remarks before we dismiss everyone. We want to be respectful of everybody's time.
Yes.
And so we can just let everyone on the panel. I think we lost Shawana. She has some issues with her connection.
Okay.
So I think we've lost her. But
let's go to Gabby. Ladies first.
Ladies first. And we got 5 minutes, and we keep it short and sweet.
Go ahead, baby.
Exit with a piece of advice that I heard with one of the brothers at one of the meetings that has been instrumental in our marriage, and that's listen with the intent to understand, not with the intent to respond. And I'll say that again: listen with the intent to understand and not to respond. We're us women. We're quick to have those comebacks, answer everything, but stop. Listen to what your mate is saying. It may change your perspective and give you an insight to where their mentality's at. So I'll exit with that great piece of advice that one of the brothers said in the 10 Toes meeting that has served us a great deal to get better.
Awesome. Thank you, honey. All right, let's go to Osbert.
Thank you. You know, one of the things that I think every relationship is going to need is common ground. And so it needs to be understood that it shouldn't always be the women that have to make the concession and understand what the man is going through. Always keep in mind, you know what, if he has something he has an issue with and you understand, let him know what your issue is as well. Don't let it just be one-sided, because it's going to get stressful. And I actually want to say one thing that I really do. I really admire Gabby, because she was one of the women I can say that she can come forward and she can actually admit when she knows that she's wrong, and she can say it. And that's something that many men really appreciate. And I've told it to Gabby many times before, and I tell it to her again. Gabby, you know what? I really admire you for that. And I really appreciate that. And then let me say, Ray better appreciate that, because I'm going to be on him about that, because that's one thing any man can really appreciate, when his woman can actually verbally admit when she is wrong. And I thank you for that, Gabby.
Thank you, brother. We're going to go to Bourne.
I just say thank you for allowing me to be on this panel. Love is the highest form of understanding, according to the lessons that I study. And that's the most important thing. And I just like to salute every woman on this panel. If you have a girlfriend at the end of the day, every woman on this panel that's getting on those buses, because like she said, I see the Rikers Island buses. I see the buses going upstate. And now we not beating the doors down the way. Y'all done some things for us. And I know like that we not doing for y'all. And I'm not saying that there aren't men that aren't doing it, but we far few and in between. Women, don't use your children as a tool against the man that's incarcerated. Don't do that. Try to be his peace. If you only get 15 minutes on the phone, try to be his peace, because once we get off that phone, then we are going to deal with that argument in that environment, right? Women, men, we have to cultivate relationships with really men who can teach us. We have to learn how to be men. And women, don't take advice from women who don't have relationships. So if you're in a loving relationship with a man that's incarcerated and that's where you want to be, man, don't let your girlfriend say, you can go hang out. But if you don't want to talk to nobody, it's cool. It's cool, because you have a loving relationship. And a lot of people who don't have a loving relationship can't understand what you have. I end it with this: safeguard your relationship, because everybody ain't happy that you happy. Peace.
Thank you, Bourne. All right, our brother Ray.
Hey, Darlene, thank you for inviting me and having me on as a panelist. And Bertha says hello.
Hey, Bertha.
Hey, Bertha.
So what are your parting words, Ray?
I just want to say that the communication is the key. Get mad at each other about whatever. You talk about it. You can't take that stuff and hold it in and just be mad about it. If you talk about it and you get it out and you guys come to some type of common ground, it's gonna work wonders on your relationship. You gotta be able to communicate, and ladies, you gotta really make sure that the guy that you're committing all this time to is behind the wall is the right person for you. There's been so many guys that come out and they're using you, and they're using you, and you expect them to when you come home to be something that they're not, and then you just end up wasting your time. And I hate to say that because I don't want to hate on the guys, but a lot of guys, they just that's what it's all about. So they told me the same thing. They told my wife the same thing, that he's just using you. When he comes home, he gonna leave you and he ain't gonna be with you. Why are you spending? Why are you going to see him? Why? And so I tried to prove them all wrong today. I've been home 10 years, and they thought that when I came home, I would leave her. And 10 years later, here we are, still together, still getting it done. So, I don't want to leave it on a downer, but thank you, Darlene. Thank you, Natasha. This was off the chains. I learned a lot, got a lot of insight. You guys want me to be a part of these type of meetings, just let me know. And I'm here to share my insight. And if anybody needs any kind of help with business and establishing type of businesses that I'm into, just let me know. And I'll mentor you and help you as much as I can. All right, darling.
Ray, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You got it, girl.
All right, Latasha, you want to go ahead and make your closing?
Did we get everybody
on
the panel? Okay. Just once again, I just want to thank everyone for coming, especially we had about 50 participants. And for the first time, for us to be able to get together and do this for the first time, as was said, this is just the beginning of many conversations to take place, because it doesn't end here. We are here to support you in any way that we can. And we're just so honored. And the guests, especially our guests from the East Coast, it is 11 o'clock in this side of the world. So we up and hanging in, and just so honored to have you all with us this evening. So thank you. And of course, Darlene, I love you like a fat kid loves cake. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, honey. And I do appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for, being my partner and us putting this event on, because it was definitely needed. And I think I want to say that friendship, that's the bedrock. The friendship is the bedrock of a healthy and a successful relationship. Like I said, Philip and I, we were together. We're no longer together, but we birthed a beautiful baby together, which is 10 Toes In, right? And it's able to help other people. And we're global because we're in Belize and we're in El Salvador. So, it's a beautiful thing. And I want to shout out to the brothers and sisters from 10 Toes In who came out and represented. I want to thank Born and Shawana for coming out, being a panelist, and thank everybody, who came out to be a part of this conversation, because this is something that people are not used to having. Okay. They don't want to talk about reentry or incarceration and relationships, but we're coming. Okay. Just understand it. Like I tell people all the time, you don't let us through the front door. You don't let us through the front door. We coming through the back door. You don't let us through the back door. We climbing through the window, but we coming. Get ready, because this is something that we want to have healthy relationships with our men, with our brothers and our sisters. And I want to give a shout out to my brothers because they're making 10 Toes In look real good. And thank you to my sisters for supporting our men and for supporting 10 Toes In. So this is not the end of the conversation. We're going to be back, and we hope that all of you guys will join us. So thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Chelsea, who has been here helping us. Thank you, Chelsea. You were awesome as the host for us. We appreciate you. And we're all about giving credit where credit is due when it comes from 10 Toes In. So thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.